Good afternoon, or good morning, or potentially good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to the International Year of the Woman Farmer feature. Today's program is going to be addressing improving lives through Annie's Project, the long-term impact. And we're thrilled to have our special guest, Madeline Schultz, and we'll hear from her in just a few minutes. I'm Doris Mold, and I am CEO of Annie's Project. Just so we all know kind of how today is going to work, we'll have just a brief welcome and introduction of the topic, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the upcoming events for the International Year of the Woman Farmer, and then we'll have our featured speaker, and then Q&A and wrap up. So we welcome you to interject comments and questions at any point through the chat. I think most of us know this statistic, but in the United States, there are 1.2 million women producers, or 36% of all producers, who identified themselves as producers on the most recent census in 2022. I think Madeline and I both can agree that we know that there are more out there, but not everybody answered the census in a way that would let us know that they're there. But we have an inkling that they're there, and we're hoping that people step forward and identify themselves as producers. It's really important. Annie's is excited to be part of this International Year of the Woman Farmer. We really play an integral role in helping women producers and agriculturalists be more successful through education networks and resources. And I think you're going to find during today's session just how important Annie's Project has been, according to the Iowa State study. Just a few things that are happening in the United States. There have been activities. We've had monthly features. So January, February, and March, we had features. Today, we're having our April feature. We are going to take a little hiatus over the summer as far as having the webinar features, but you can continue to see that we'll have monthly farmer features on our social media and website, and we'll be doing podcasts throughout the summer as well. But we'll be attending and speaking at the ACE Summit that's happening in Washington, D.C. on June 2nd. Annie's Project will be presenting along with CoBank. And then December 8th and 9th, Annie's Project will be hosting an International Year of the Woman Farmer virtual conference. And we'll have more details on those as they move forward. We'll also restart having these features, these webinars this fall in September again. Just to let you know, here is an example of one of our features. So we have a little feature on different women farmers that have been involved in Annie's Project, and you can see Andrea here. Andrea, in addition to this feature that we have both on our website and it's been posted on social media, we also have a podcast that features Andrea, and she has her story that will be posted soon as well, a video story. One of our latest things that we have kicked off is a weekly podcast, Rooted and Ready podcast. It drops on Thursdays, so you'll have a new one tomorrow, but you can visit us on Spotify, and we are also on YouTube, and we are adding some more places where you can access the podcast as time goes on. So be looking for those. We've had some really terrific guests, lots of great things that have been posted already, and some really good guests that are coming up as well. And we thank Carisha Devlin, who is our curriculum and training officer, who works on those podcasts for us and hosts that series. Also, if you are interested, if you've missed one of our sessions, our features, our featured webinars are up on our YouTube channel. We're recording this one today. We have a whole series of past webinars on all different types of topics, everything from International Year of the Woman Farmer. We've had ag policy. We've had behavioral health and wellness. and then all sorts of assorted topics related to risk management and marketing, and a number of showcases from our various states across the country. So we strongly encourage you to visit Annie's project on YouTube as well. And of course, finally, you can visit our website. The QR code will lead you to our website, and our you can also see the URL up above. So without further ado, we're going to turn things over to Madeline and have her, provide her. I don't quite know if it's a seminal study on Annie's project, but it's quite a terrific study. Madeline, as I said before we got started, you really are an institution with Annie's Project. You've had such a long history with Annie's Project, serving in so many different ways, currently serving on our board of directors. You have been the program coordinator for Annie's in Iowa and have just done an outstanding job and so passionate. And I'll let you give a further introduction as to what your role is currently in Iowa and maybe some further background on your experience with Annie's Project. So please welcome our featured speaker today, Madeline Schultz.
Well, thank you so much, Doris, for that kind introduction. And thanks for sharing all the wonderful things that are going on with Annie's project. So great to see all of that. I will go ahead and share my screen here and pull up my presentation. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you our long-term impact study that we have done with Iowa Annie's Project. And it is my hope that you'll be able to use some of this information in your own states, in your own programs, to maybe think about what your audience might be interested in, or to provide some data to people who might want to know why you are serving this audience. So I really hope this is applicable to other states, even though this impact report is about Iowa. So a little bit more about myself. This is my 23rd year with Iowa State University Extension and Outreach, and I've been involved with Annie's Project almost 20 of those years. So man, time moves on, right? And it's just been a really great program to be a part of. We have a great team here at Iowa State University that I work with. I'll tell you a little bit more about them. I might be going through some of our slides quickly today. Doris is planning to put in the chat box a PDF of the slide set, as well as the full impact report that we have prepared. So don't feel like you have to scribble any of this down. You're welcome to go back and review if there's anything you'd like to dig into a little bit more. So first of all, let me just start out with a few stats on Iowa women in agriculture. 46% of all Iowa farmland is owned by women. Similar to the national statistic, 33% of Iowa farmers are women. And they make important decisions. 72% are involved in financial management. They're also involved in succession plans, land use decisions, and marketing, to name a few of the key decisions these women are making. So I just want to tie this back into the National Annie's Project program and the vision there that women in agriculture are change agents. And I think that's really important to recognize that. And I think it'll kind of become obvious as we go through this, why that's such an important factor. And then the mission, we're empowering women to be successful through education, networks, and resources. And all three of those things are super duper important. So We can't really have a successful program without networks or without resources or without education. So we really need all of those. And if you haven't been on the National Annie's Project website, please do take a look at that. Because I just wanted you to know you'll find a lot of great information there. So as I mentioned, we've got a whole team here. We have 6 farm management specialists currently in Iowa who serve the state. And I am a part of the farm management team. And so we work very closely together and do all this programming together. So it's been, from day one, it's been a real team-based approach that we have to serving our audience of women in agriculture. So these are some of the goals we have overall for our farm management program. And it looks pretty similar really to what the national objectives are. And we want to improve the quality of life and agricultural sustainability in Iowa. And so one of the reasons I'm sharing with you what these goals are is because this impact study, we tried to get at how did we improve the quality of life? How did we impact agricultural sustainability in Iowa? So hopefully we'll be able to share a little bit more about that as we go here today. Annie's Project has been a national leader here in Iowa. We've had 145 Annie's Project courses and 121 Annie's Inspired courses. Today, I'm only talking about our Annie's Project 18-hour course, but we've done a lot of other things too. So one of the key resources that we share with our audience is our farm management team website, which is the Ag Decision Maker website. So a lot of great resources there that are applicable. Many of them are applicable across the country, not just specifically to Iowa. And of course, some of them are very specific to Iowa. But if you have an interest, take a look at that website and feel free to use any of those resources that might make sense for your own program. So we know that our audience enjoys learning in a comfortable and a supportive learning environment. And when women are having fun learning together, they're learning a lot. And it's really important to tie that fun and comfort level into the impact and the learning that takes place. So in Iowa, when I mentioned the 145 courses, they have all been 18-hour multi-session courses, and they have all covered the 5 key areas of agricultural risk management, the finance, human resources, legal, marketing, and production. In 2026, the cost of our programs were $130. Just to give you like a little perspective of what the participants are contributing. And the $130 is about a third of the cost of this programming, right? So our participants are not paying the full cost, but they are paying a good portion of it, which is important. So I did want to talk a little bit more about our sponsors and partners. We've been super fortunate in Iowa that Farm Credit Services of America has sponsored us ever since the very first Annie's Project program that we did in 2004. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Farm Credit there. Our extension colleagues have been super important to this program. Our county extension professionals are part of the team as well, our Center for Ag Law and Taxation, and our human sciences team. We work across boundaries, work together to bring as many resources to our audience as possible. And then I do want to mention, as many of you know, Annie's Project was started with a 2003 Risk Management Education Challenge Grant. So that's kind of fun to refer back to that and to recognize that. And Risk Management Education has funded Annie's project in Iowa and other states over the years in a substantial way. So definitely want to give a shout out to them. Industry support, we get a lot of great support from, of course, our USDA offices here in Iowa, as well as a lot of cooperatives, attorneys, insurance agents, cooperatives, and others. So thank you. It takes a lot. It really takes a lot to bring people together and provide this impactful program. So now let's get started on our impact study methods. We did use a third-party evaluator, the Research Institute for Studies and Education here at Iowa State. And the whole purpose of this was really to assess the effectiveness and the impacts of this program over a long period of time. We used a mixed method approach, which included a comprehensive online survey and online focus groups. If you're interested in our survey, that is a part of the report, which Doris will be sharing with you. So if you're welcome to take a look at that and get some ideas for your own evaluation. So we did this survey about the worst possible time for women over the holidays, but we still got a really great response. So we sent the survey out December 19th last year, concluded a month later. We had 1,281 viable emails, and we sent it to participants all the way back to 2004. And we had 186 responses to the survey, which was really great. And 13 people were able to participate in our focus group that we did, virtual focus groups. So a little bit more about the focus groups. We held them on January 29th. We held one at 12 o'clock noon, one at 7 p.m. so they could choose to participate in either one. They were a strict 1 hour session, and again, a total of 13. And we asked about experiences, what they learned, the practices implemented, and suggestions for future courses. So the focus groups provided a lot of very rich, very detailed information. So let's start going through some of the results from the survey. And we did have people participate from all time periods. And more than 10 years ago, we still had 23% of our participants were from more than 10 years ago. So it was just really exciting that those people from so long ago were still willing to connect with us and provide us some evaluation and their thoughts on the program. We did find that 18% of the survey participants enrolled in Annie's project more than once, which is pretty cool. Sometimes 3 or even 4 times because of different time periods in their life and different needs. Since this is a long-term program, it's kind of fun. The survey participants represented all age groups. And when we look at this circle here, keep in mind that nearly half of our audience or our survey participants took Annie's project more than 7 years ago. So look at these numbers and maybe subtract 10, right, on average. And so we do reach all ages, and we do reach that younger audience, which is really important. Now let's take a look at the acres impacted. The 186 survey participants owned or operated 123,373 acres. And that includes the acres they owned. On average, they owned 478 acres, as well as the acres they leased from others. So, and that number was a little bit higher, as you might expect, On average, they're leasing 625 acres from others. I'm going to show you a few slides about the key risk areas and some of the survey results on the actions that they have completed. Now, we asked them for actions. We asked them about actions completed, in progress. They haven't started, but they want to, and they don't intend to. So we got a good spectrum of information there, but the survey results I'm reporting to you are only that they have completed these actions. So just keep that in mind as we go through here. So 58% prepared their balance sheet, 44 calculated cost of production, which is super important, and 42% created a family living budget as well as calculated those financial benchmarking ratios. So they really took a lot of financial actions. I added here one of the focus group comments about that. And basically they were just saying how they thought it was really important to know what does that banker or that lender look for when you bring that balance sheet to their office. So that was really an action that this particular focus group participant thought was very valuable to them. Let's take a look at the human resources actions. And a lot of this was around communication and updated family insurance policies. So looking at that life, health, or disability. And one of the things we do in all of our Annie's project classes is encourage them to take a look at their policies and see if they're really truly in line with their goals. So we're really happy to see that number. And then as you can see here, 45% improved physical wellness or mental health, because it's just really important for farmers to maintain their health. And again, that's something that we like to stress in this human resources area. And family meetings and business meetings are something else that we talk about. And so it was really nice to see the focus group comments about how important that was to their family and really giving permission almost for the family to meet and to have some good benefits from that. So on the legal side, we can look at the 51% obtained legal or healthcare power of attorney, 41% had created new or updated their estate plans or wills, and 33% chose a successor for the farm or ranch business. So that's really awesome because we know that's a really hard thing for families to do. And I'm sorry if I'm going here a little fast, but I want to make sure we get through all the slides in the time allotted. So on the top marketing actions, women are obtaining market pricing information from a reliable source. And they're also exploring ways to manage those price swings in the marketplace and preparing a marketing plan. I will note here that marketing is one of those things that people always want more of. And I talked about our Annie's Inspired courses. Our marketing courses have been the top courses or as far as attendance. People really, after they take Annie's project, they really want to come back and take a marketing course. So we give them a little bit in Annie's project and then they like more, and it's been really helpful. So for production actions, 62% applied to programs by the Farm Service Agency. And that number might seem a little low if we look at the majority of farms in Iowa do apply to Farm Service Agency programs, but this is the women themselves becoming familiar with this program, going down to the county office and understanding these programs. So we're very excited about that. 56% reviewed and updated their cash rental leasing agreements. And along with that, a lot of them also um, formalize their agreement with written agreements. So that's super important too. 50% applied to programs offered by NS Natural Resource Conservation Service, and 48% looked up more about their soil through Web Soil Survey. And I'll just kind of let you read the survey comments yourself there. But it's things like following variable rate fertilizer recommendations to improve the fertility and yields, as well as not wasting fertilizer or sending it down the creeks and streams, right? And many of them have incorporated plans to improve their pasture management as well as their field crop production. So one of the things that we were asked to do is demonstrate the financial value of these programs. And so what we did in this survey is we asked people to tell us about the actions they took. And then we asked them to say, okay, now as a result of these actions, how has this impacted your profitability? So we kind of led them to this, if you will, trying to remind them of what actions they took and then ask them how that impacted their business. So we asked about cost savings and added income. So 63% of respondents reported cost savings, and a majority, about 68%, said they saved 5,000 or more. And you can see here that even 3% of the survey respondents said they saved 100,000 or more. So they're really made some substantial savings from their $130 investment in the course. And so our focus group participants gave us a little bit of information. This particular participant said she started using cover crops. They also turned that into feed for their livestock. And so that has saved them some money with doing that process as an example. So next we asked about the added income. And again, you can see here that 49% of respondents did report added income. And of those, the largest percent of the participants in the survey said they gained 10,000 to 24,999 in added income. So the added income that they had was really substantial, again, from their $130 investment of the course. So it's, I think, going to be important going forward for us to share the value of this program with our audience and why they should spend their time and their money participating in this program, because it can make a real difference in their profitability. And this focus group participant has said that just the whole process of the class and learning each week and learning from the professionals that they interacted with really helped them think through the each decision with sustainability and profitability in mind. So that's pretty cool outcome of this course. So next I'm going to talk about sustainability. And again, this was our long-term goal. So when we're doing the Annie's Project courses, we're often asking about knowledge gained and actions taken. And now for this long-term study, we're trying to measure that impact to sustainability. So one of the measures that we use to determine that is their increased long-term farmland or farm business planning, 3 or more years. So almost 2/3 of them said they increased their long-term planning a great deal or a moderate amount. Just a little FYI, the scale was a great deal, a moderate amount, a little bit, and none. So the numbers here reflect a great deal plus a moderate amount. They also increased their use of risk management practices, conservation practices, and importantly, they just increased their distribution of land or other farm assets to next generation farmers. And again, we're really trying to focus on that because we know there is so much land that needs to change hands. And we definitely encourage people to, start making those decisions, those transition and succession decisions, and maintain our, agricultural and rural structure as much as we can. So here are a few of the comments that survey and focus group participants made related to sustainability. The first one is really about how, they're continuing to network with those class members and how important the business planning and financial analysis were. There were a lot of comments about distribution to the next generation. And here's one from someone who was that beginning farmer. They took several Annie's Project courses and credit Annie's Project with allowing them to move into having their own farm operation. So that's just a super exciting impact that we have. And then when we asked about conservation, they wanted to make sure we knew that wasn't just for financial gain. They were making those conservation efforts to improve the land, the environment, and because it's the right thing to do. So let's take a look at our quality of life measures. Greater confidence in making farmland management decisions. Overwhelmingly, people were super happy about that and really felt like the program did allow them to take a stronger role in the farm business decisions and improve profitability and quality of life along with that. They had more satisfaction from owning or operating the farmland, stronger social network with supportive agricultural community was super important. And that really came out very strongly in the focus group, with the focus group participants, as well as a lot of the comments. And it lowered stress associated with farm family or farm business partners. So I love these outcomes. I think it's really important that we're able to show that we really are improving lives, which is our mission with Iowa State University Extension. Here's a few comments on the quality of life measures. The first one, how they were encouraged to build a community or a network of professionals to get advice from, and that really empowered their decision making. Another one is talking about how she came to Annie's Project after her husband died and not only gained all the information she was looking for, but she also gained that community of women who were eager to support each other. And we find that happens a lot. Lower stress, just having this information, having the research-based information to look at really reduces their stress in working with others, their family members, partners, and so forth. This is a quote from one of the focus group participants about the value of the relationship building. And of course, that's one of the key reasons why we offer this program that meets for 18 hours. And here in Iowa, it's usually 3 hours a week over a 6-week period, although we did sometimes varies from that. But it helps people build that network of supported people that they can turn to for advice, learn from, and help them grow. So, so happy to see that happening. After people participated in Annie's project, they shared information with their family members and other farmers and ranchers. So when we think about women in ag programming, we can reasonably keep in mind that each of those women that comes to our class is connected to a network of other spouses, family members, other farmers and ranchers that they're sharing this information with. So it really has a ripple effect in the farming community far beyond the women who came to the class. So that's really cool. This slide is just kind of represents some of the professionals that people are reaching out to after the class, and it kind of drops off for the human resources professionals. And I think that might be because they don't really understand what might be part of that, because we saw one of the actions that they have taken is improving their insurance, their family living insurance, the disability, the life, the health insurance, and so on. So I think maybe it's a little low because they might maybe didn't understand what we were asking for there. Lifelong learning is another exciting outcome. This is a quote from a focus group participant who took Annie's 3 times. And the first time she was the one transitioning into the farm business and just figuring out how to grow their assets and figuring out their farming. The second time she was actively farming and really looking at the balance sheets and things like that. And now she's saying her son is in high school, wants to come back to the farm, and all of a sudden, suddenly, right, they're looking at a transition out of the farm in the future. And she's saying, okay, now I need to take Annie's project again. So this is just a great example of why this program has been a success in Iowa for 21 years, why people are coming back to it again and again, because they have different needs at different times in their personal and farm business life cycle. So one of the things that we hope we do with Annie's project is introduce people to extension resources and programs. And this slide's super exciting because overall 64% of our Annie's project participants are coming back to other extension programs. And so we're introducing them to a lot of programs that they're then more willing to take advantage of. And they've also engaged in a lot of activities after the program. A lot of this has to do with using the resources, using those online resources, using their course notebooks to review and continue to learn from. But we also see that a lot of them are going to non-extension events. So a third of them are attending other events that they learned about, maybe through extension, but are not extension events. And they're even taking, leadership roles and joining community organizations. So it really speaks to empowering them and what they've been able to do after the courses are long over. The women-centered environment was important to most people. 82% strongly agreed or agreed that it was important to them when they took the class, and it would be important in the future. And they really call out that it is a safe, comfortable, fun learning environment. And many women do feel like that is very essential to their learning. Of course, not everyone does. So we have another 18% here who would like the program to be open to all on a typical normal basis. And so, that is something to consider as well. We did ask about suggestions for the future. So one of the things we try to do with Iowa Annies is we want diversity in those courses, right? we want the 3 acre community supported agriculture woman in that class, along with the woman who has 20,000 acres of corn and soybeans, because they have so much to learn from each other. And it's really exciting when we do see them learning with and from each other. But some of our audience thinks it's just too much diversity, and maybe they were at a beginner level and the course was overwhelming to them. Maybe they were at a more experienced level and the course didn't quite meet their needs. So definitely some comments around that. Other people commented that they love being able to go to Annie's project and go to those specific programs, the Annie's inspired programs like the grain marketing, the financial management, the transition planning, and so forth. So having both Annie's project and those Annie's inspired programs is definitely of interest to people. Having more about mental health is important. We got that comment quite a bit. Of course, when we first started doing Annie's project, we did not talk about mental health. We didn't. Now we do. So it's interesting that that was brought up in the comments. One person commented about the advertising. They really, sometimes they thought our advertising didn't quite speak to them, so they missed the program. And then maybe thought, oh man, I should have been a part of that. So this is part of a longer quote, and they're really looking for clarity, like exactly what am I going to get out of this program. So just a hint to all of you, help them understand what you're doing, and maybe they are more likely then to participate. And then we did have several comments about people who wanted to bring their nephew, they wanted to bring their husband, they wanted to bring their uncle, whomever. So there's definitely a need for families to learn together, and that is a suggestion for the future, and it might be something that you all could keep in mind. This is a quote about the isolated occupation that farming is, and how important the camaraderie and the opportunity to network with other women is. And that's just so helpful to a lot of people. So we do see that they are learning from one another. They're really gaining that network in their community, as well as getting the specific information that is helpful to them. So overall, Extension and other people, other organizations have an important role in extending knowledge and empowering women, farmers and ranchers. And women and farmers and ranchers can be effective change agents for managing risks, strengthening their farm businesses, adopting new conservation practices, and developing that stronger network of, excuse me there, I'll get back to where we were, maybe. Just developing that stronger connection in the community. And so all Iowans benefit when women are supported in improving these 3 pillars of agricultural sustainability, including the economy, the environment, and the community. That's just super important because we want both a private value and a public value from these programs. So through our evaluation, our long-term evaluation, we have seen that women have increased the risk management practices in their farm businesses. They have adopted those conservation practices and increased connections. So those are all things that benefit themselves and their farm families personally. But while they're doing that, they're enhancing rural economic resiliency, reducing soil loss and improving water quality, and they're contributing to a stronger community of agricultural producers in our state for greater food security. So everyone benefits, private and public value, and I'm just super happy that our evaluation showed that definitely is the case. So I don't know how I did on time, Doris. I tried to hurry, but
Well,
I
no, we're good. We've got time for question and answer,
fantastic,
and
fantastic.
certainly, and I put in early on in the chat both your project report and the slides. So I'm hoping that people have downloaded those, had an opportunity there. Um, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Um, do have a few questions for you here, Madeline. So, first of all, did you find, was there anything that was surprising to you in what came out of the study?
There is one thing that surprised me, and I actually didn't mention it. We did have quite a few say that they like to come to these programs because for the experienced ones, it's a way they can mentor and encourage the younger generation. So they're
Mm,
not necessarily be coming because they want to learn all this. They're coming because they want to help the younger ones learn this. And I've
okay,
certainly seen that. I've seen that in our audience, and that did come out in our survey as well, even though we didn't ask about that. So, and then
interesting.
just that the more experienced farmers also are encouraging us to find ways to really reach out to the younger audience and maybe, try to do some trendy kind of programming to encourage them to come. So that was kind of a fun surprise that they're interested in mentoring the next generation.
Okay. Well, it doesn't surprise me that I think we have a lot of servant leaders in agriculture, and I think a lot of women in particular kind of play that role, right? That's they help others, they want to mentor and see that next generation succeed, and
Right.
and I think too there's a benefit when you're mixing age groups. Um, when you're mixing age groups, you share different ideas, and people that maybe are up to date on certain things can connect with people that maybe need to learn those things, and there's some good cross-pollination that can happen from that.
Exactly. My favorite memory of that is in 2010. This young lady came to this class, and she was just talking about what she thought farming was like because she had just married a farmer and she was a school teacher. She married this farmer and she was talking about, here's what I think it's like. And these ladies around her just put their arms around her and they said, "Oh, honey, let us tell you how it really is." And it was so great. And she is a very successful farmer these days and has initiated her own farm related meat business and so forth. But that was just so welcoming and important to her to be supported like that.
All right. Would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to hear the preconceived notions and then the response there. Um,
Right, right.
So we've had some requests. Some people wanted the Iowa State Farm Management page. I thought maybe it was Ag Decision Maker, so I put that link in the chat for you all. And I also put
Yes.
the Farm Business Management page too, just in case that was what you wanted, so people can feel free to access those things. And again, hope you saw that I put the study in and the like. Now, you mentioned, so from a national basis, we consider everything that you do Annie's project, right? So you were talking about your 18-hour course, which was the original thing. Um, you also mentioned your Inspired by program. And so we have, for those of you that might not be aware that have joined us, Annie's project has a number of curriculum. 18-hour course was the original course that Annie's had. And then we have Managing for Today and Tomorrow and Know Your Numbers, Know Your Options, a crop insurance curriculum. And then everything else kind of falls under this Inspired by. And our states come up with different programs to meet the needs of their participants. And you mentioned several different things that you've come up with. And was that driven from needs that you saw within the participants of the first 18-hour courses? So when they took the courses, they said, "Hey, we're really interested in this or that," and that's how you developed it, or what were the means for kind of coming up with those ideas?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Doris, because exactly. We have developed at least 12 different Annie's inspired programs, and they all came out of the evaluation results of the Annie's Project courses. So people took the Annie's Project courses and they said, okay, wow, we really want to know more about transition and succession planning, or we really want to know more about managing the farm finances. We want to get into software and taxes and things like that. Or marketing. That's been a really big one here in Iowa. We've done cattle marketing and grain marketing specifically. We've also done value-added ag Annie's project that focuses more on the local marketing and local production kind of thing too. So it all really grew out from those Annie's Project participants. And, no one has to take Annie's Project before they take any other program.
Hmm.
But really, the programs have all grown out of the requests of the Annie's Project participants.
Right. So somebody who maybe didn't take the 18-hour course might say, "Oh, that looks interesting. I think I need some more information on marketing or value added." And so they'll go ahead and take that and maybe loop around back and take the 18-hour course afterwards.
Yes, exactly,
Okay. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, the assumption is that, kind of what's driving you is, for the inspired by, I know when we look at things across the country that that's typically the case, but I do know sometimes we get, we figure out the needs of our audience in different ways, but that's really terrific that you have that the original Annie's Project course inspired so many other uh, desires, wants, and needs that your audience was seeing, and they said, "Hey, we want to take this a step further, or maybe several steps further, depending on the topic area."
We
I've
we have kept the farm management team very busy developing new programs.
Yes. Well, and I've heard reported too that some of your Annie's Project groups have formed their own marketing clubs and done some things like that as an offshoot of you know, the getting together originally in Annie's Project and maybe then taking an inspired by course, and then they decided, "Hey, we're going to keep going with this." And do you have any information on that, or did the study look at any of those kind of impacts that were, I don't know if I'd call them going rogue, but they decided to continue on and do their own thing?
Yeah, yeah. Um, we didn't specifically ask about it, and with the people who responded just didn't really say anything about that in
Okay.
particular. But yes, we do know anecdotally that people are forming their own little groups, continuing to meet. We've had some like Annie's alumni clubs that just kind of popped up in counties. We've had the grain marketing groups, of course, that just decided, hey, we're going to do this, and they even had grain marketing conferences, and they asked us to come and be a part of it, but they did it right,
Wow.
and
Wow.
so that's been pretty cool. Um, yeah, we've had just people that maybe don't have anything formal, but they are informally gathering with the people that they met in their class and continuing to network and support one another.
So they kind of have their own peer cohorts that they've developed out of this, and
Yeah.
um, wow, on them organizing their own conference and then inviting you. That's well, I guess you have certainly achieved the empowering part, right? People have been
Oh,
empowered
yes,
to do their
yes,
thing. So
yes,
that's
yes.
great. Have a question here that I can answer. It says, "Do you have inspired by Annie's Project in other states, or is it just Iowa? No, it is throughout the United States. Iowa has just had just a super enthusiastic group and has done an exceptional job of developing inspired by, but most other states have, had things that have been suggested to them, and they've gone ahead and done inspired by programming. So, depending on where you are in the United States, those programs will pop up, and a lot of them are in person, but there are some virtual things that happen as well. Other questions for Madeline while we have her here? I know somebody, you're welcome. Somebody wanted to know if you'd come speak to their facilitators, Madeline. So there's other states that would like to have you come and work your magic.
Well, I'm open to that. Just let me know if we can be of help. We're certainly, happy to share what we know. We don't know everything, but we'll share what we know.
Okay. Any other questions? Just don't want to make sure that we cover everything. Um, but wow, Madeline, some really terrific information. I'm looking forward to being able to study your study more, and I'll probably
Yeah.
have some more questions for you after that. Um, and it's just terrific the work that you and your team have done over the years and the number of lives and families you've touched. And I know that you all have made a real difference in the lives of those farm families, and obviously have helped them, from the standpoint of, uh, you know, not only the soft skill side of things, but the hard numbers, and
Mhm.
all of that is important.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, and
Um,
we have a thank you here too from another participant. So, um, and
Welcome. One thing I wanted to mention is that the farm management team has been totally on board with this. Like our farm management team members that we have now, they weren't even there when this got started, right? And we've been able to continue this through all kinds of changes within extension. But they love it because it's so impactful, and they see that they're providing information that people want. um, Women are having fun in these programs. They're forming long-term relationships, and it just feels like really impactful, important work. So our farm management team loves working with this audience.
well, and we appreciate the strong partnerships that we've had with Extension across the country. Farm Credit helps with Annie's Project across country. Have other org organizations that work with us across the country, helping to deliver um, uh, Annie's Project. But I know the group that's done the most work of this in Iowa has been your farm management team, and you've just done a fantastic job. And we really appreciate you sharing information on the difference that Annie's can make. Especially over that long-term time period, we often don't look at that longer view, and we appreciate you sharing some of those insights with us today. Um,
Well, thank you, Doris. It's been a great opportunity, and I hope it maybe encourages other states to take a longer term view at their program, and really, let people know what a great program this is over time. So
well,
appreciate the opportunity.
And thank you for that. And I think not only states, but I want to encourage anybody that's not currently involved with Annie's project that maybe came to this session or is watching the recording of the session once it gets put up to really help you understand the difference that an Annie's project can make wherever you are. And the kind of impact that they've had in Iowa can be had with other communities across the country, across the world. and there is tremendous benefit in working in this area. So we appreciate again, Madeline, and all of you who have joined us today. We appreciate all the questions and comments in the chat. Thank you all for being here, and you can look for this recording to come up on our YouTube page for Annie's Project. Have a terrific rest of your day, everyone. Thank you again, Madeline.
Thanks for joining, everyone.